Dek, kenapa lihat-lihat? Dek, kenapa lihat-lihat? Dek, kenapa lihat-lihat? Dek, kenapa lihat-lihat? Dek, kenapa lihat-lihat?
Selamat sejahtera dan selamat kembali ke My UNIRAZAK YouTube channel dan My UNIRAZAK Facebook Live. Selamat datang ke program URGearUp SPM Free E-Tuition. Saya Wani, hos anda untuk hari ini. Selamat kembali ke sekolah juga saya ucapkan kepada adik-adik sekalian. Jaga diri masa di sekolah juga tau. Ini adalah minggu keempat UNIRAZAK bersama para pelajar SPM 2021 di dalam program URGearUp SPM Free E-Tuition. Tujuan program anjuran UNIRAZAK ini adalah untuk membantu para pelajar yang akan menghadapi SPM 2021 dengan berkongsi topik petua sebagai persediaan menghadapi peperiksaan yang bakal tiba tidak lama lagi. Kepada para pelajar yang baru sertai kita pada hari ini, URGearUp SPM Free E-Tuition adalah program pembelajaran secara percuma yang fokus pada 5 mata pelajaran iaitu Bahasa Melayu, Bahasa Inggeris, Matematik, Sejarah dan Prinsip Perakaunan. Setiap mata pelajaran akan berlangsung sebanyak 3 kali. Ada 3 sesi ya. Program ini telah bermula pada minggu pertama Oktober 2021 dan akan berlangsung hingga Januari 2022 pada setiap hari Sabtu jam 11 pagi hingga 1 tengah hari. Kami harap dalam tempoh 3 minggu ini, para pelajar telah mendapat ilmu dan akan terus bersama cikgu-cikgu yang dibawakan khas oleh UNIRAZAK untuk anda bagi membantu anda menghadapi SPM pada Februari tahun hadapan. Program ini turut disiarkan secara langsung di YouTube My UNIRAZAK dan Facebook My UNIRAZAK selama 2 jam. Jangan lupa untuk subscribe YouTube My UNIRAZAK dan klik ikon loceng kalau tak nak ketinggalan program-program pada masa akan datang. Link pautan pendaftaran percuma disediakan di ruangan chat box. Pelajar yang mendaftar akan turut mendapat bahan pembelajaran secara percuma. Sementara itu, apa kata kita tonton video corporate UNIRAZAK? Okey, bersama kita pagi ini adalah Cikgu Ezlin. Cikgu Ezlin adalah seorang guru mata pelajaran Bahasa Inggeris di SMK Kepong Gombak. Beliau mempunyai pengalaman mengajar selama 22 tahun. Pada tahun 1999, beliau telah memulakan kerjaya sebagai guru di SMK Padawan Kuching, Sarawak. Cikgu Ezlin berkelulusan ijazah sarjana muda TESOL di bawah program MPIK bersama University of Southampton. Di masa lapang, Cikgu Ezlin suka membuat penterjemahan sama ada daripada Bahasa Melayu ke Bahasa Inggeris atau daripada Bahasa Inggeris ke Bahasa Melayu. Hobi beliau yang lain adalah membaca, mewarna, menonton K-drama dan juga mendengar lagu-lagu soundtrack. Tanpa membuang masa, dipersilakan Cikgu Ezlin.
Okay. Okay, Assalamualaikum and good morning students and viewers out there. My name is Ezlin Faizura binti Farid. You can call me Teacher Ezlin. So we are here today, all right, to have a look at tips and some guidelines that will be helpful and useful for students out there in facing paper 2 writing paper SPM Safer English. Okay, so as you know, this will be the first first SPM assessment for cohort 2004. And just like everybody, even your teachers, parents are all a bit anxious about how you guys are going to respond to the paper with consideration that we are now facing our utmost challenge in our lifetime, which is COVID-19, where you guys are involved in both online learning, okay, mainly online learning, especially for batch 2004. And I believe that most of you are back in school using what we call the concept penggiliran. Okay, so I think in my school and almost all schools, we will have penggiliran group A and group B. And I think for next tomorrow onward, it will be group B's turn. And for the boarding school students, you are all back in school now. So hopefully my session today will help you to enhance your fluency in writing part 1, part 2 and part 3. So let me share my slides with you now. Okay, I hope you can see the slides. Okay, all right. So the purpose of our session today is to look at the tips that can help you to keep calm and write the essay. All right. And so that at the end of the whole thing, you will become a writer. Okay, so the objective of our session today is to share ways and means, okay, to write part 1, part 2 and part 3 of paper 2, writing paper, English Safer. This is to provide support.
Maaf. Maaf
okay,
ganggu.
hold on.
Cikgu punya slide tak nampak.
Okay, alright. Sorry ya. Apa yang saya kena buat ya? Sekejap.
Cikgu share slide.
Okay, alright. Sorry, maaf. Technical problem on my side. Cikgu lupa share screen. So excited to share my
Knowledge hari
ideas.
ni.
Sorry ya, student. Biasalah ya. Even with Google Meet pun sometimes we teachers make errors. Proving that teachers are human. Okay,
Dah kita mainkan ni problem.
Okay, alright. Cik Syazwani, okay ke? Nampak slide?
Okay, dah nampak dah.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Okay, so let me start from the beginning. Okay, so our session today is for you guys to stay calm, to keep calm and be able to write the essay and prove to everybody and to yourself that you are a writer. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to share ways and means with you guys on how to write part 1, part 2 and part 3 of paper 2 writing SPM Safer so that you have the support, okay, as SPM 2022 candidates. So let me remind you that according to our Malaysian Exam Syndicate, MES, your oral papers, your listening and speaking are scheduled to commence in February, while your reading paper and your writing paper will start in March with the rest of other subjects. Okay. All right. So these are some of my references that I've been using for my preparation, for my study, for our slides. And do remember that you guys are the first cohort. So I think including myself, with the rest of teachers all over Malaysia, we have to do our own research and preparation to make sure that we are able to provide the best and support for you guys when it comes to the writing paper. Okay, so we have to look at the marking scale. Whether you like it or not, students out there, you have to look at the marking scale. Because for me, honestly, by knowing the marking scale used for your writing paper, you are able to understand which category of the marking scale that it is already in your hand before you go for your exam. Okay? Alright, so we will start with the first category, is content ataupun isi kandung, okay, ataupun isi penulisan, ya. And the mark is from 0 to 5. So for content, if you look at part 1 email, it is about you guys doing your question analysis for your question, and you label the content point with C1, C2, C3, which means content 1, content 2, content 3. The same goes for part 2 guided writing and also part 3 extended writing. There are slight differences for part 3 extended writing when it comes to the content. For example, if you choose to do review, if review question comes up, they will usually, based on the question shared by MES, Malaysian Examiners Syndicate, you will find that you are given usually 2 content points, which are compulsory to be included in your review. So the rest of the write-up of your review must be based on your knowledge about the review itself, which you will have a look after this, okay? The same goes for report. And as you know, for story, they will give you the 2 important elements that must be included in your story, and the rest will be coming from your imagination and creativity. So students out there, content will be in your control. Teachers will always tell you, okay, when you do your part 1, part 2, part 3, do your question analysis by identifying which is C1, which is C2, which is C3. By doing that, you are telling your mind, you are setting your mind frame that I must have 3 points in these 3 pieces of writing, and you will get your content mark. Okay? Alright, so we move on to the second part, which is communicative achievement. Okay, so this is basically about how you are able to make the readers, okay, which is your teachers or your examiners, to understand the ideas, the opinion, the story, the message that you want to convey. So for part 1, it's all about email format. Okay, I'm very sure by now your teacher has taught you the email format. So let me remind you that what your teacher has said is correct, that email format is important under the marking scale of communicative achievement. Okay, and with email you must have informal language, but for me honestly, informal language, there are limits to it. If in your email you include hey you, what's up, and your what's up is in the spelling of WHAT apostrophe SUP, so it is accepted because it is part of the informal nature of email, which has that friendly tone. But if you go overboard like what you're doing, you know, watcha as in, not matcha, yeah, watcha as in WHATCHA, and then doing with the missing G, I feel that it is questionable whether we can accept, whether teachers and examiners can accept that as your informal language. So my advice to you is, yes, you can use informal language, but be moderate about it, because remember, there should be a balance between the use of 3 content points in your email and also the way you present your content points, which is to achieve the communicative achievement. And by being able to do that, the meaning is understood by your teachers and examiners who are your readers. Moving on to part 2 guided writing. Yeah. So here you have your essay format, which means you have your introduction, elaboration of 3 content points, and your conclusion. Okay, and here is where formal language becomes compulsory. Okay, later in my slides, you will be reminded of one feature of formal language, which can only be used in part 2 and part 3. And of course, the function of guided writing is to inform the mass, okay, to inform the readers about your opinion about issue related to your personal life, your student life, or issue related to the society, probably about spending money, probably about going for holiday and others. So we move on to the last part, which is part 3. So in part 3, we call it extended writing because the word extend here suggests that the number of words when you want to write your article or report or review or story has been given a larger scale, which is from 200 to 250 minimum. Okay, all right, so you have 4 choices here. So according to MES, they will come out with 3 out of these 4, and in your question paper, you will see these 3 choices and you will choose one. So part 3 will actually test your maturity in choosing the right writing piece that suits you as a writer. So here you have to know your strength, your weaknesses in writing. If you feel that you perform better in article, then article should be your choice. If it's report, then it's report. If it's review and story, then it's your choice. Okay. For me, part 3 will involve lots of practice and you actually discussing with your subject teacher which is your strength. Okay. Now, if you look at these 3 items under part 3, they are similar in terms of it has its own format. Okay, but do remember that we don't penalize your format mark if you use it wrongly. But for me, format helps to convey meaningful, messages in the question. And of course, formal language. And for article and for report, you will find that it is to inform the readers out there. And in report, sometimes you have to recommend. Okay, if you have a question about making a survey about places for exchange student to visit. So that is where the tone of suggesting and recommending comes in. And then you have your review. Okay, so review means you give analysis, recommendation, or not recommending a product. Okay, so later you will have full view on what are the possible items that can be reviewed under part 3. So here, when you do a review, you are like a seller, you are like a salesman, you are persuading, your reader, your audience to be, to enjoy the same item as you do, or perhaps to avoid the item because of the reasons that you are going to share. And at the same time, with the information that you are sharing, there is an informative tone in your review writing. So story, everyone is a storyteller, everyone is a story writer. Okay, I believe that inside of us, we are a storyteller. Okay, and because of this, we have this. So again, apart from the format, again, introduction, there are twists, there are climax, there are ending to your story. You have dialogue. You have dialogue to make your story believable, to make the characters come alive. And there's a mixture of formal language as well. And when it comes to the tone, it has a lot of mixture. It can be a sad tone, it can be a frustration tone, a relief tone because the challenge was over and you have achieved your success. So all this depend on the plot. Okay, we move on to the third marking scale, which is the third and the fourth marking scale, which are the organization and language. So this, I would say, the technical part of the writing, which I feel you need to have a lot of practice. Okay, so some students out there, you may wonder, there are so many grammar items, there are so many vocabulary items to look at. So which one should I focus on? So instead of feeling frustrated about it, we start with something basic. So here you can see, under organization, you should be able to use simple linking words. Okay, now linking words here listed as and, but, or, so, because, first of all, finally, for those students who feel that your writing ability is actually at a very advanced level, you can move on to one level by using advanced linking words such as moreover, furthermore, as a result, on the other hand, and others. Now, another item under organization which I feel honestly is very crucial is the use of pronouns or kata ganti nama. Okay, again, based on experience, sometimes one of the common errors committed by students in writing is the use of pronouns. For example, you start your sentence with I. In that paragraph, you talk about I, first person point of view, and suddenly, probably you do not realize a slip on your part and it becomes careless mistake. Suddenly, it becomes we. So, as a reader, we have questions. So, is it your point of view, or are you representing the general perspective of that particular point? Or yeah, so here the use of pronoun must be consistent. Okay, and then substitution, here we are referring to for example, we have grandfather Okay, probably you have another word that you can use to refer to your grandfather. For example, my one and only the father of my mom, grandfather, something like that. Okay, and of course, paragraphing. Okay, now for me, paragraphing is very important, especially for part 2 and part 3, because it represents the arrangement, the sequence of ideas that you are sharing with your examiners and teachers. Okay, so you have the first paragraph to introduce the idea, which is very important. Whenever you read anything, whenever you watch something, there will always be an introduction. Okay, and then you have the elaboration of the content points, which help to support your introduction. And of course, you can't leave your writing hanging just like that. You must have some sort like a closure, a closing, a conclusion to your writing, and that will lead to a good organization of a piece of writing. We move on to the last category, which is language. Okay, this is also another area where students have fear because it involves spelling, it involves the use of the specific and suitable context, vocabulary for specific context. So when it comes to vocabulary, we have basic, common, and low frequency words, LFW. Now, basic vocabulary, which actually refers to your list of vocabulary that you studied when you were in your UPSR years, okay, your primary school years, actually including your preschool years, okay, your kindergarten years, your TASCA years, and then your year 1 until year 6, okay. Now, for common, it actually involves your PT3 years, okay, your Form 1, and for some of you, perhaps you were a removed student, pelajar peralihan. So it covers vocabulary that you should have learned according to the syllabus from Form 1 until Form 3, and also covering Form 4 and Form 5. Low frequency words. Okay, how do you get low frequency words? It's from the habit of reading. Okay, not only reading during school time, but reading as hobby. And that helps, okay, to actually build your what we call the library of low frequency words in you. Okay, all right, and then we have structures. So structures here involve simple sentences, which is your short sentences. It also involves your compound sentences where you use and or but to combine two simple sentences into one. And then you have the complex sentences where you have clauses and phrases put together and it becoming a long, meaningful sentence. Okay, and of course you have spelling. Now, when it comes to spelling, there are many categories. We have usually the confusion between the Malay spelling and the English spelling, like discipline, television, tradition. Okay, we also have the category of we call it sleep. Sleep means it occur once or twice. Okay, so we know that under exam pressure, you accidentally make a spelling mistake there. But when it becomes repeated, not only in part 1, but part 2 and part 3, then it becomes error. So this is something for us to consider when we want to give you your language mark. So far, I hope you have some ideas on what to focus on when you want to do your preparation for English writing. Okay, so we move on to the next part, which is part 1. So now we are going to into our core business, where we are going to look in details on tips, okay, on how to enhance, on how to improve your part 1 writing, part 2 writing, and part 3 writing. Okay, so let us look at our email. Okay, short communicative message. So A1 and B1 here means the SAFER scale that is targeted for email. So just to let you know, email would be the same assessment that came out for your PT3. Okay, so email should be something that is very similar, very friendly to you, because you did email for almost 3 years, since Form 1 until Form 3, and then your final assessment, your PT3. Okay, but again, let us look at some tips that can help you to improve your email writing. Okay, first thing first, let us look at the maximum score, okay, provided for part 1 email writing. Now, when it comes to the content, all content is relevant to the task. So you have to make sure that you are able to respond to the content point with relevance to the task. And for me, by practice, constant practice, looking at email questions, you are able to develop this understanding. And inshallah, with God willing, content 5 or 4 mark will be in your hand. Okay, communicative achievement is about a text that communicates straightforward ideas using the convention of the communicative task. So if you allow me, let me go back to the slide. Here is what I mean by the convention. You understand that it is an email format. You understand to what extent informal language is important in your email writing. It has a friendly tone, and meaning is able to be understood by both you as the writer and the reader. Okay, so let us go back to our slide. Yeah, organization, simple connectors. That is why in the first part of the presentation, I highlight what we call the important elements. Okay, of organization, which is simple connectors. Okay, I'm sorry, and also you can use a selected number of cohesive devices. Now, do remember, email has a very limited number of words of 80, and that is why in the organization, MES, Malaysian Examination Syndicate, has suggested the phrase a limited number of cohesive devices used appropriately. Now, let us look at the language, basic vocabulary. So, you have your knowledge of your UPSR language knowledge, PT3 language knowledge, and you're going to use it here. You are going to use simple grammatical forms with a good degree of control. Now, one thing that makes English SAFA SPM different from the old format is the errors. Okay, here, if you make errors, but we, the teachers, when we mark your paper, especially for your upcoming trial, yeah, we are able to understand that. So we understand the idea that you're trying to convey amidst the error, your mark is still be given. So we don't blindly or randomly punish you or penalize you by deducting your mark just because you have errors. But do remember, the errors must not affect the meaning of the word. Okay, the meaning of the idea. All right, so let us look at the question. So, students out there, I'm very sure with your other subjects that you are studying for SPM, your subject teacher will always mention sila buat analisa soalan. So I'll put it in English. Please do your question analysis. Okay, that will be very helpful as your guideline in planning your answer for your organization, planning your language for your communicative achievement, and kind of preparing the suitable vocabulary for that particular context of the email under language, and also identifying the content points here so that you are able to get full mark for your C1, C2, C3. So I'm sharing with you a question shared by Malaysian Examination Syndicate with all teachers and students, okay? So here you receive an email from your new friend, Amy, who has just moved to your hometown. So you underline this. So this is reminding you that your language, your tone here should be very friendly enough to inform Amy of the things that are possible to be done in your hometown, because she is someone new in your hometown. Okay, next, question analysis. If you notice here, you look at the arrow here, hi, and then I put the school holiday is finally here. Let's go for a picnic with our friends. So I put this in bracket, and this one will be under P1 introduction. And in this introduction, you should express your agreement and your feeling. And this will help to make your email reply friendlier and also with sufficient responses to the whole email. Okay, later we will look at some ways to, some phrases that you can consider to do your P1. Now, the next important thing is the identification of your content point. C1, where shall we go? C2, what can we do there? C3, what should we bring? So when you look at this question, you will realize that content point for this one is quite similar to PT3, where the content points are presented in WH question, where, what. So underline this, yeah, students, underline this, C1, C2, C3, label them, so that you are telling your mind, okay, I must have this so that I can get my content point. Okay, I must have this in my responses so that I can get my content point. And then you have the last two part here, which will be your responses under closing. Now, with my students, I would like to use the analogy of nasi lemak. I tell them that, when you get your nasi lemak with your sambal, with your crispy ayam goreng berempah, okay, so when you hold it, when you open it, wow, the aroma comes out. That is your introduction. Okay, and when you savor, when you chew, when you taste all the wonderful combination of your cucumber, of your peanut, anchovies, and with your crispy ayam goreng berempah, that will be the elaboration of your content. Then it's time to go back to class, or okay, sorry, you can't go back to class because you have to eat your food in the class. Yeah, so the bell rings, your teacher said, okay guys, it's time, so you have to close, you have to wrap your nasi lemak wrapper and throw it in the nearby dustbin. That will be your closing. Okay, so always tell yourself that writing your essay, part 1, part 2, part 3 is like the action, the analogy of eating nasi lemak. From the first touch of the wrapper until the last touch of the wrapper before you discard it into your bin. Okay, so if you look at this question, it says here, write an email to your friend in about 80 words. So one common question that I always get for students is, teacher, will I be penalized if I exceed, if I write 100 words? No, you will not be penalized. But our concern as a teacher is, would you have sufficient time to write for your either part 2 and part 3. So you have to be careful with your time management here, so that you don't spend too much time for part 1, because part 1 is considered the easiest one. How do I know it's the easiest one? Let me go back to the slide, A1 to B1. This is the lowest score scale for email. And you will find that this changes as you move on to part 2 and part 3. Okay, so now you might understand why your teacher keep pushing you, keep asking you to do practice for part 2 and part 3, because they know that part 2 and part 3, they have higher score scale. Okay, next, let us look at this. So I would like to thank Delta Association for suggesting this idea. Now, among us, there are students who like to calculate the number of words for each paragraph, okay? And I don't want to say it's a wrong strategy. All of us, we have our own way, okay, to actually survive our writing challenges, okay? So one of the way to survive our writing challenges is by planning the number of words for your paragraph writing. And it's not wrong. Okay, so here there is a suggestion here where for your introduction, roughly you allocate 15 words. Some students, when they find that they have reached that number of words, they feel calmer. They feel that, okay, I've done my part. Okay, I will continue, move on. You have that confidence, okay? All right, but if you feel that this number of words is holding you back, is putting pressure on you, then you don't have to follow. Okay, this is again what they like to say, to each his own. It is your cup of tea. If this is not your cup of tea, you prefer coffee, then don't follow this. Okay, all right, so you will find that in paragraph 2, 3 and 4, you can use paragraph 2 for C1, paragraph 3 for C2, paragraph 4 for C3. And here another common question will come in, teacher, but I thought for email it should be one paragraph only. Okay, now here, this is what the opinion stands so far. It can be, so I have an extra notation down there, it can be one paragraph or more. It depends on your preference. It depends on your teacher's suggestion and teaching. If you as a candidate feel that one paragraph is sufficient, then fine. Just have a look at this to make sure that you have all these elements covered in that one paragraph. But if you feel that by writing 5 paragraphs, by writing 3 paragraphs, you feel more confident, you feel more organized, then do so. With my students, I teach them 3 paragraphs actually, where it is introduction, paragraph number 2 combines C1, C2, C3, and paragraph number 3 is the closing. So again, it's to each his own. This is a suggestion for you. You choose. That's why I urge you to sit and write to find your style. Okay, and then here you have your closing. So here is the guidance on the number of words. Okay, moving on. So this is one sample answer taken from booklet provided by Malaysian Exam Syndicate. So this is what we mean, yeah? Okay, so here MES has presented the response in one paragraph. So it's not a problem, okay? So let me show you this. Okay, so here for your answer, the template will be prepared for you. So you just need to fill in. Here too, you can put the person's email. You can put the subject of the email reply, and then you write your response, "Hi Amy." So this is one way of responding, yeah. So I am so glad that you have brought this up. As I had nothing planned for the holiday, I am totally excited, and I know just a place for a picnic. So this is the response to the introduction. So do remember, you don't straight away write your response to C1, C2, C3. By doing that, you lose your friendly tone. You lose that email language. Okay, so usually you express your gratefulness, you thank the sender for the email, and then you have this. Then you move on to the elaboration of C1, C2, C3, and then you have your closing. Okay, all right, do update me if something comes up by. Okay, and you can write your name down there. All right, now the reason why I show this again. Okay, I would like to compare this slide, this question with the next slide. Okay, this is another question. Okay, so you receive an email from your pen pal who is staying in London. He will be visiting your country soon. So let us look at the presentation of the content point. Okay, hi. So it's similar to the first one, yeah? My family and I have booked our flight ticket. The trip will be fantastic. Since your country is a melting pot of culture, we would like to experience a cultural festival. So this is the 1, 2, 3. Yeah, the 3 sentences that should be having your responses in your paragraph 1. But look at the content point. Remember, I mentioned earlier in this slide that the questions are in WH form. But in this question, in this presentation of content point, you have your C1 in a form of an instruction or a request. Okay, I think it should be a request. So do take note that the presentation of your C1, C2, C3 can be using WH question, and it can be in a form of a request like this. This is a request which is referring to the previous sentence. Okay, let us have a look. Yeah, please tell me about one. So one here is a substitution ataupun ganti nama for the phrase a cultural festival. So I know this is C1. So you are expected to introduce to Jamie one cultural festival. Okay, and in C2, you are expected to explain about that particular cultural festival and give more information about how people celebrate, how do people celebrate it. So here is C3. So look at the pronoun here, it, one, referring to a cultural festival. So students out there, one of my tips here is, if you feel that you don't have enough time to sit and write a complete email, at least you can spend 30 minutes, okay, with your workbook, with the module given by your school or from your teacher, or you download yourself from Telegram. You do practice on question analysis. Identify which part should be under introduction, which part should be under C1, C2, C3, and how do you know that is C1? C2 and C3, and also the closing. Okay, that is one tip for you guys for email writing preparation or revision. Okay, so you have this, yeah? Write back soon by Jamie, your closing. Okay, so far I've shared with you the marking scale, yeah, and I have shared with you guidelines if you are the type of student who like to count the number of words for your paragraph, and I have shown you the possibility of content points presented in other ways, in sentence form, in forms of requests, besides in a form of WH question. Okay, so I hope things are clear so far. Okay then, now Of course, when you want to write your paragraph one, you need to know some suggested phrases that can help you. So I would call these will be your weapons that you're going to arm with before you enter your exam hall for your trial paper and for your SPM next year. So these are some common phrases you use when you want to express your agreement or your feeling or your response, okay? And by using this, it helps with your organization mark, it helps with your communicative achievement mark. So if you're a very safe writer, you're very worried about making mistake, you can go for something I agree with your idea or I love your idea. If you are a student who likes to do something a bit different, you want something a bit long and complex, you can yes, I have chosen. Yeah. So it depends on the whole question. Okay, the whole question. Okay. Now, so I have example here. If you remember the email from Amy, so I have this one. So using the guideline 15 words here, so I have, hi Amy, thanks for your email. Now, even though in the sample shared by MES, there is no what we call the expression of thanking the reply, thanking the sender for the email. I would like to suggest this as another way. Okay, if you feel that you are a type of student who likes to use short sentences because you are so afraid of making mistake, you can go for this approach. If you prefer the one shared by Lembaga, the writing technique style, please do so. So here, at least you know you have choices in writing. So here you have thanks for your email. I agree with your idea or I love your idea. Or the one from Jamie, thanks for your email. Since Jamie and family are coming down to Malaysia to meet you and to have a look, okay, to witness a cultural festival, you have this response. I can't wait to meet all of you, 12 words. So what if you exceed in your introduction, it becomes 16, 17? We won't penalize you, we won't, okay? But take note of time, okay? All right, so these are some of linking words, connectors that you can use, okay, for your paragraph 2 to 4, content 1 to 3, okay? So some of this is actually from your download textbook. So I urge you to go back to your download textbook and look back at the previous unit that you have studied since early this year, okay? All right, so you have this, yeah? Okay, now, what about content point? Are there any other structures that you can use to create your responses to your elaboration? Okay, now, based on my question analysis, I find that these are the top 3 questions asked in email. Is usually asking you to give suggestion, okay, or asking for your advice, and also you needing to persuade your friend. Perhaps your friend has been asked by the father to attend extra class, and then your friend is asking for your advice whether he should follow his father's advice or not, and as a friend you would want to convince him or her. Okay, so these are suggested responses that you can consider to use. You have the simplest one, I suggest, or you have the longest one. One thing you could do is, yeah, and you can have questions in the form of, can you help me to choose? Can you please give me some ideas? So you have this. What if your friend is asking for advice? When do I need to use? When do I wear this? When do I buy this? So anything that falls under the category of asking for your advice, you have this structure. I advise you to, my advice. So here you are playing around with this word. So this is another common spelling error that you must take note. Advice, advise, it is referring to the verb. Okay, action word, kata perbuatan, kata kerja. So here advice, vice, is noun or kata nama. Okay, all right. So you have another one, to persuade. Okay, memujuk. Okay, recommend, mencadangkan, a bit similar to the first one, yeah? And then you have convince. I'm not sure whether my mom's idea is good for me. Please help. So here you are actually supporting, okay, your friend's mother by saying you must try, or attending extra English class is good for you as you can la la la. Don't worry, you will get through this. Please try your mom's idea. Please try attending the class. You will not regret it. Okay? Okay, now based on these responses, you can come up with your own. Okay, we move on to the next slide. So we reach to the part where we're going to close your nasi lemak wrapper and throw it in the dustbin. Okay, now maximum 10 words. So you have this: bye for now, see you soon, take care, X. So X is where you put the person's name, Amy or Jamie. That's all for now, see you later. So you have option here. So for me, at this point, you have already a clear picture on how to start and how to end. The content point will always depend on what type of question, what type of email question that will come out. But at least by now you have some confidence. Okay, the phrases to start, the phrases to end. Okay, all right. We move on to guided writing. So as you can see here, the scale has moved. A1 to B1 to A2 and B2. So it becomes slightly challenging, but yet still accessible for you guys. Okay, so we look again at the highest score for part 2. You will find the content is still similar to part 1, where all content is relevant, target reader is fully informed. Here, use the convention of the communicative task. So here, there is something extra here to hold the target reader's attention. Okay, here you must be ready to get your examiners, your teachers' attention with your opinion sharing, with your elaboration and suggestion. Okay, and text is generally well organized, okay, and coherent. So this is where you are starting to be very careful with the use of your penanda wacana or discourse markers, your sequence connectors, your linking words, and others. Okay, and cohesive devices, all this will help you to produce a very organized, okay, penulisan yang teratur, where when one reads your essay, it is like a smooth sailing experience. It's like when you're driving the manual car, you're able to control your clutch efficiently. And then you have your language. Here we have something extra here. Occasional inappropriate use of less common lexis. So in part 2, you are taking the risk. You are trying to use those high-level words, or in the students' world, we call it bombastic word. So bombastic words means words that sometimes suitable with the context and sometimes they don't. Okay, but here you have to ask yourself: am I adventurous enough, courageous enough to take up the challenge? If you do, let's go. But again, we don't penalize you blindly. The beauty again of SEFA SPM is we acknowledge your effort. We don't simply give 0 just because you use the word, for example, essential wrongly. We acknowledge the effort. So that's what makes SPM SEFA different from the previous format. Okay, you have simple and some complex grammatical form. So here, not only you have short sentences, you are taking the challenge to show your ability to use compound sentences where you have the use of and, but, so to combine 2 simple sentences into 1. Errors do not impede communication. You do have errors, but it does not change the meaning. Impede communication means it does not stop the communication. It means it still contributes to the communicative achievement of your idea. It's just you have errors here and there. Okay, so here are, get ready with a long list of slides. So this is taken from material shared by Jabatan Pendidikan Terengganu. It's the notes on cohesive devices. So I am very sure that in BM you have similar item like this. So you have this in English as well. So for those students out there, you want to do your vocabulary practice, you want to do your grammar practice, and you feel that if I keep doing writing, sometimes you feel lost or you feel turned off, you feel demotivated. Why not? You do your practice on cohesive devices. You look at pronouns, synonym, and connectors. You guys have access to your internet. You type pronoun, synonym, connectors exercise, and a lot of PDF online practice available there. Okay, so we have the focus on pronoun. So the use of this, that, this, those, he, she, it, they. And do remember, by doing practice on pronoun, you are actually preparing yourself for your reading paper, gap text, part 4. Okay, all right. So we have synonym. I am very sure since from one, your teachers have been, I use the term, have been haunting you with, okay, apakah synonym? What is a synonym for this and that? And all this because you want to provide variation in your writing. Do remember, teachers who mark your paper, we are human. We love variation. So why don't you make your examiners happy, your teachers happy by providing synonym? It's not wrong. I know it shows your vocabulary strength, it shows your effort to bring in variation in the vocabulary. Okay, and then you have connectors. However, therefore, in addition, also, but moreover. Okay. All right, so the next couple of slides will be very long. I will leave it to you to read because you have been given the PDF of this slide in your Google Drive for under UNITA FB, and also have a look and study all this. Okay. All right, so when it comes to the connectors, all right, they can be at the beginning, middle, or end. Now, another tip for you guys to show that you are able to use connectors well, you are able to know when to use the connectors correctly. Now, for example, the word but. Many of us, liked, to use but to begin our sentence when you want to show contrast or when you are doing comparison. Now, my advice to you is the word but is actually a connector which connect one sentence with another. So instead of using but in your formal writing, you should use however, nonetheless, on the other hand, on the one hand, otherwise. Okay, here you can see the words in bold are simple connectors. Okay, and you'll see the same nature for the next one. You have a lot. Okay, that's why it's okay to provide variation. We love variation. Okay, now when you want to show time and sequence, now if you look at the bold part here, this is considered simple. You look at the one suggested to start with in the first place at first sight. Now, if you, because I've been following IELTS Instagram and Facebook and website focuses on IELTS writing on TOEFL. So just to let you know that the current way, of using discourse marker to show sequence or time, they are not really big. Okay, the word first of all is not trending anymore. On the other hand, the phrase like in the first place, to start with, to commence with. Okay, these are the trending way to start off your point one. Okay, just to let you know. Okay, and then you have the rest like to show purpose. Now, so that means supaya. Some students, they get confused between so and so that. So make sure you know the difference, yeah? And then you have this, and you have to show cause and effect. Now, in your writing, especially in part 3, when you give your example, another tip from me is when you give example to show your high order thinking skill, you use cause and effect because you are showing the impact or the effect of that example on that point, on the question, on the essay question. So here you have therefore, thus, hence as a result. This is almost similar to those science, biochemistry, physics students out there. You have your hypothesis, you have your experiment, and you have to show the impact of the experiment on the hypothesis. And I'm very sure you use lots of therefore, thus, hence. Okay. Now, if you look at the bold there, so many students like to begin their sentence with so when they do their writing. It's not wrong, but what makes it different is the word so, as you can see here, it is meant for in the middle of the writing instead of the beginning. Don't get confused with speaking. In your spoken English, of course, it's natural for you to use so when you're talking with your friend. So where you want to go, okay? If you go to your friend, you have been discussing about our plan. Hence, where should we go? You sound a bit too. You sound out of place. Okay, you sound a bit awkward. So your friend is like, "What's going on?" Okay, all right. So again, you have to know all this so that there are time and place for the use of what we call connector and also discourse marker to begin your sentence. Okay, these are other examples. Now, again, you have the famous contohnya. So there are other variation. For example, for instance, one of the example is, another example is, use that. Again, help yourself to be effective writer by providing variation. Small things like this will mean a lot to your mark. Okay, and then you have all this, and you have clarification, emphasis, addition. So a lot for you to read. Okay, study all this. Okay, comparison. Okay, let us move to the important bit of part 2 is question analysis. So I'm back to my question analysis again. Now, do remember that your questions are based on themes that have been decided upon by both ministry, co-curricular unit, okay, all in your textbook. Yeah, so we have themes like consumerism and financial awareness, people and culture. For the question, your sister and you want to buy a special gift. If I'm not mistaken, for Form 2, Unit 2. Okay, where you buy things. Okay, and then you have people and culture, where we write about holiday. Okay, yeah, you know, people and holiday. We can't run away from holiday. We need our holiday. Okay, now, when I do my question analysis, I realize that there are two types of part 2 that can come out. Okay, so that's why it's important for you to do your question analysis so that you are aware, and when you get question that's a bit different, you don't get panic easily. Okay, so you have to first start where I call it reflective. Why reflective? Or in Malay, what we call it husnuzon, kan? Because you reflect on your previous experience, your previous knowledge about that particular issue. So here about buying a special gift. We buy gift for people whom we love, our family members and our friends. Okay, so here we have the use of you. So it's about your choice, your reason, and your feeling about the importance of giving a gift. And always remember giving reasons for your point of view. So if you look at this question, where you would like to go, not people like to go, but you. Okay, for example, you, Ezlin, where would you like to go? For me, I would say I would like to go to, thinking of place, probably back to Kundasang. Okay, I wish I can go back there again, or probably to Sarawak, to Padawan, where I was there for 4 years. Okay, and reasons for my choice, why I want to go back to Kundasang, why I want to go back to Padawan for a holiday, and how long you plan there. It's not about how long people stay there, it's about you. So this is under reflective. Now another type, okay, is, for me, it's under factual or argumentative. Factual means fakta. You share information, facts about that particular issue. So if you look at this one, it's under the theme people and culture, science and technology, both. Why? Because smartphone is part of our culture and lifestyle, and again, it's about science and technology. So here you have more argumentative reasons why some people might support, some people might not support. Okay, and you share your personal point of view. So for example here, if you support or do not support, so you have to give your take on this, or your 2 cents on this. And then another one, this is shared by MES, Malaysian Examination Syndicate. Your class has been discussing about saving money, and your teacher has asked you to write an essay about the importance of saving money. So this is under consumerism and financial awareness. So ways to save money. So this is general. Okay, it's similar to to this example as well. General reasons for saving money. And going back to you as a student, as a 18-year-old student next year, where would you keep your money? Under the pillow, in your heart, in my heart? Okay, so I hope with this you are clear about the presentation of part 2 question. Okay, moving on. Again, for those students out there, you love numbers. Numbers make you happy when you are able to achieve the target goal. Okay, I've written introduction, 28 words. I feel assured. Why not? If you feel that, no, I don't want numbers to control my writing style, then it's okay. Is for those who need this. Okay, so if you look at the presentation of this, you have paragraph 2, you focus on content 1, paragraph 3, you focus on content 2, and you have your paragraph 4 and your conclusion. So conclusion, again, remember, where before you throw out your nasi lemak wrapper, you're going to put it nicely in a lump, or you crumple it and throw it in the dustbin. So this is where you rephrase the key ideas, you tie everything there. So you have the suggested number of words there. Okay, moving on. So let us look at the detailed part of your question analysis here. So you must answer this question, write your answer in 125 to 150 words. So when we do question analysis, we are also being aware of the word limit there. So that when you plan your ideas, your vocab during question analysis, you have that 125, 150 in your mind, so that you don't go overboard. Again, yes, we don't penalize you, but if you write too long, it eats up your time allocated for part 3. And part 3, the number of words will increase. So let us look at your detailed question analysis here. Your sister and you. So this is what you do. You can't write your sister and you from paragraph 1 until the end. There goes your communicative achievement. Okay, because you are unable to provide variation to make your communication effective for the reader. So you have pronoun like we, because remember, your sister and you do we, and then our gift for our grandfather, okay, and then both of us feel this is the best gift for our granddad, okay, the two of us, and then you look at a special gift. Now look at the combinations. Special gift. Special means not every day. It's for certain occasions. So try to think, okay, what gift that is considered special? So usually it's for birthday, or perhaps you have grandparents' day or grandfather's day. And then you look at the analysis of the word grandfather. You can say our grandfather. You can also refer to he or his. For example, his t-shirt is getting smaller, or we hope to make the mark to make him happy. All right. Okay. Next, you look at the content point. What would you like to buy? So here you must identify one item. So here you may question teacher, what if I want to buy 2 items for your grandfather? Look again at the number of words. 125 to 150 allows you to identify one gift only. Reasons for your choice. So you look at this. Reasons means more than one. Here again, because of 125 to 150, I would recommend 2. The importance. Now you will find the word importance everywhere in part 2, especially because you have to give reasons for doing that. So here the reason for giving a gift. So it talks about the kebaikan, the good aspect, the good thing of buying a gift. And then you are ready to write. So what if you have this question highlighted by our Malaysian Examination Syndicate? Okay, your class has been discussing about saving money, and your teacher has asked you to write an essay about the importance of saving money. So students out there, when you read this, you have a look at this. Your teacher has asked you to write about. After the word about, you know this is the targeted key idea for this essay. The importance of saving money. You see the word importance is used again here. So here it talks about the benefits. Apakah kebaikan, the good aspects of saving money for you. So the focus is on you. So you look at the first C1, ways to save money. So again, ways, it should be more than 1. I would suggest 2. Again, why? Because of 125, 150. The same goes for reason 4. Meaning here, you have given 2 ways, so each way should come with its own reason. Why? Look at this part here, giving reasons for your point of view. So part 2 here is really about sharing your idea. Okay, I'm sure young people, you guys, you want people to hear your voice. This is the part, your part 2. Let us hear your voice. Okay, where would you keep your money? Give your one suggestion and why. Okay, all right, we move on. Now, another issue, sometimes students like to ask me, teacher, tahu nak tulis, ada idea, tapi macam mana nak mula? I have the idea, but how to start? How to end? So here, I would like to share some ideas on how to start off your part 2 for paragraph 1. So I have 3 models I would like to suggest here. Perhaps you're familiar with it, but most those students out there, I would call you the lost writer. Hopefully this will help you. Now, if you are a simple writer, you are so afraid of making mistake, model A is for you. If you like to memorize, memorize is not good. If you like something that fits, that you can remember, then you can use model B, idioms. For students out there, you are very adventurous. You want to use something different, you can use model C. Now, please remember there are many ways to start off your paragraph 1. I am sharing the 3 common ones. Okay, so let us look. Now, the first one, model A, is where you rephrase keywords in question. So what you do here is, your sister and you becomes my sister and I. Want to buy a special gift for? Your becomes our grandfather. Okay, and then you can include this part here. Why you want to buy, because it's for his birthday. So by doing that, you are acknowledging a special gift because it's a special day. It's a special gift for a special day, which is his birthday. Or you can have it the other way around. You say that it is our grandfather's birthday, so you're responding to this idea. So, then they use so here. My sister and I want to buy a special gift for our grandfather. So you have 19 words here. So roughly you can have 1 or 2 sentences for your paragraph 1. Even though it says 30 and you get 19, it's okay. You have 11 words extra that you can use in your content 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so this is one way. What if you want to use model A for your factual question? Again, you can do that. Your class has been discussing, my class has been discussing about saving money, and your teacher, my teacher, has asked me to write about the importance of saving money. So you have reached 22 words. It's okay if you exceed, don't worry, no problem. Okay, we don't penalize you. All right, what if, okay, now we move on to model B. Idioms. Okay, I'm sure your teachers have mentioned the use of idiom. Not to say it's compulsory, but please remember that one of the identity of any language will be idiom, proverb, or in Malay simpulan bahasa ataupun peribahasa. It makes that language. Okay, so here I would like to recommend 2 idioms that you can use. It's fixed in your paragraph 1. So what you need to do is just to remember, and you just insert the one in the bracket taken from the question. So many people from all walks of life are talking about. It means many people from various different backgrounds are talking about. Okay, what statement here? This one. That is why this is important for you to underline. And then you have this. Here, I want to share my 2 cents, your opinion about the issue. 26 words. Teacher, it has exceeded. We won't penalize you. Okay? So if you feel like, 26 words, no. Perhaps you can go back to this one. Okay? Model A. All right. So, Model C. Now, for me, honestly, Model C is meant for question that has the factual and argumentative nature. So here you have the use of gerund together with the listing of examples that are relevant to the question, importance of saving money. Buying the latest smartphone, sneakers and clothes. So I only focus on 3 examples, okay? Because remember, we don't want to have your paragraph 1 too long. And I combine it with the use of gerund. Buying the latest smartphone, sneakers and clothes will be my goal when I have a lot of money. Therefore, I must start saving from now. So here I have linked my introduction with the question. Okay, so these are my sharing on how to start your paragraph 1 for task 2. Okay, right, let me move on. All right, now, just like email, I am sharing with you some discourse markers ataupun penanda wacana that you can use for elaborating paragraph 2, content 1, 2, 3, 4, presented in paragraph 2, 3, and 4. So you have many choices here. A simple student, perhaps you can go in my point of view or in my eyes, and then you can put in. From my perspective, saving money is important because okay? Or the main reason I feel this way is because when we have extra money, we can use it for emergency like hospital visit and others. Okay. All right, and then we move on to, if you have your question asking for advantages and disadvantages, you have this. You need to express your agreement, disagreement, you have this. Okay, cause and effect again. Okay, now, when it comes to part 2, there's a reminder, do not use contraction, ataupun sometimes teachers, we use the simpler term short form. So, do not use I apostrophe M, DON apostrophe T, IT apostrophe S and others. You have to use I am, do not, it is, we have and others. Okay? Alrighty. And if you have to compare and contrast, those are your discourse markers. Okay, now, it's time for you to wrap your nasi lemak wrapper. So how do I conclude my part 2. So you rephrase the key ideas. Okay, there's a typo there. Tie everything together here. So you have phrases like all in all, to sum up, on the whole, in conclusion. You can use in a nutshell as well, no problem. But again, this one, I would like to share other variation because I think we've been using in a nutshell for so many times. So it's time for you to be adventurous and try other discourse marker as well. So if I use on the whole, we hope our grandfather will enjoy and cherish the special gift from us. So roughly 15 to 16 word. Teacher, it has succeeded. We won't penalize you. Or all in all, these are the reasons why saving money is important. So you have 11 to 12 words. So okay. All right. So are we okay so far, students? So yeah, I hope it's very helpful to you. And again, if you feel that I know this, I've been taught about this, then good for you. So I'm helping your teacher to convince you that this is one of the best way. Okay, so this is one of my students writing actually using the discussion, the techniques that I have done with her. I've done with the class. Okay, you can have a look and read. Okay, the one that I feel many students feel very fearful for, extended writing. Okay, now, as you can see, the marking scale, the score scale have moved up to the maximum B1 to C1. If you're able to achieve C1, you will be like me. C2 is the highest level, okay? So it's between B1 to C1. Okay, now, please remember that under extended writing, there will be 4 items. And in your exam, they will the organizer or MES or the English panel of your school or the English panel of the department in your state will choose 3 and you choose 1. Okay, do remember, choose 1. But I am very sure your teachers will always try to expose all this type of writing to you so that you will be more aware of your style. Whether you are an article writer or a report writer or a review writer or story writer. Now, my analysis on these 4 items here. Article and report are meant for simple language users. You want to write, but you are scared. So this is for you. Why? Because I feel that after looking at the questions, sample questions suggested in many references, they highlight mostly the task is about school activities, okay? So we have again the theme of people and culture, health, environment, science, technology, consumerism, and financial awareness. Okay. Moving on to review. If you are advanced language users, you like to analyze, you like to recommend, you have full sound knowledge about that item, then it's yours. Now in Form 4, you learn movie review, okay? And just to let you know, apart from that, you have book review, restaurant review, food and drink review. I'm sure if you have your own social media account, Instagram, you will see certain Instagram that actually do food review. So why don't you look at that and see how they analyze the food presentation, the quality, the price, the cost, okay? Now, even though it's in Malay or even though it's in other languages, but take a look at the style and using your knowledge in English language, you can use that style as your reference, okay? Places of interest, perhaps you go to one bookshop in Cyberjaya or one bookshop that has really wonderful presentation in terms of the ambience of the bookstore. Okay, you can use that. And then you have accommodation if you want to recommend certain holiday resort. You want to recommend certain sports, certain e-sports that you are playing right now, your PUBG and all. Events, if I'm not mistaken, if there are BTS fans out there, I think BTS is going to launch their online concert and you watch that and you want to make an analysis or review of that. Or you want to talk about the latest smartphone, the latest Samsung, the latest iPhone, or you want to recommend one musical album. But remember, the review, okay, the item of the review question is set by Lembaga Perisa Malaysia. So if you get a food review, then I think it's everybody's favorite. We love food, right? But if you get something that you are not familiar with, okay, for example, events, they ask you to make a review on the sports events, okay? So you didn't follow Olympic. You are not a football fanatic. You don't follow badminton, Thomas Cup or Sudirman Cup and all that. you have to really think whether should you do review, because if you still want to do review, you really have to use your imagination, creativity and knowledge to present an effective review. Or you can go for story. Now, why I said story is meant for advanced language user, because you must have strong foundation of simple past, past perfect, past continuous and adjective. And believe it or not, all these are in your download textbook. So go back, have a look at those units, unit 1, 2, 3 especially. Okay, so let us look at our maximum 5 mark. Again, content is the same. But here, if you look at communicative achievement, effectively, okay, to hold the target reader's attention. So to achieve the effectiveness, variation in vocab, variation in structure, okay, and you are able to persuade, okay, you are able to convince the readers. Organization, yes, generally well organized and coherent using variety of cohesive devices, because you are sharing more opinions, more ideas, so you need the technical sequence connector, the technical cohesive devices to make your presentation smooth flowing, your writing presentation smooth flowing. Okay, use a range of vocabulary. A range means specific vocabulary for that particular writing item. If it's review of food, then it has to be all the terms related to food review. Okay, and you are able to use less common flexes, which means low frequency word appropriately. Okay, use a range of simple and some grammatical form with control and flexibility. Here, you are able to use complex sentences, those long sentences well. Okay, now here it says you do have occasional errors, you do have slip. So we acknowledge your errors. Hopefully it doesn't, the errors do not affect the meaning of your ideas presented. Okay, let us look at this. Okay, this is my sharing with you. Okay, I did this on my own, okay, using the common idioms. And this is yours for you to use as your reference. So one of the way for you to do your preparation for your part 3 especially is to look at those common idioms that you can use for various topics and you are able to remember them well. Okay, under health environment, you have health is wealth. You have we are what we eat, and you can look at the way I construct my sentences. And you have means and ways to relax and unwind. Okay, under consumerism and financial awareness, you have cost a bomb. Okay, now I used to have some adventurous students say, like, say, teacher, can I say cost a dynamite, because I want to make it. I want to have a variation, because the student quoted me, teacher said it must have variation, so I should have cost a dynamite. Here you have to respect, okay, the originality of these idioms and proverbs. So if it's cost a bomb, can't change anything. Yeah. So you have money doesn't grow on trees. Pour your money down the drain. And then people and culture, you have should not judge a book by its cover. I think that one is very common. Yeah. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So if you write a story about missing someone, you can talk about your family members. Or I think MES gave an article about library, how to make your library better. You can have best things in life are free. So when it comes to science and technology, you still have cost a bomb. And if it's about an environment, movie or book review, you can have to look after the land and the land will look after you. And if you have writing an admirable character, an admirable personality, you can have as bright as a button. Okay, moving on. So again, for article, we have this, yeah. So you have introduction, 30 words, requirements, 65. So take note of that. Now, besides that, to make what we call the organization of your article effective, you have your title and you have your byline. So byline actually is by Ezlin, written by Ezlin, but usually for article, you have the title and by Ezlin. Now, one issue about articles sometimes, again, student are not sure how to conclude the article. This is my suggestion. In 2 sentences, at least, express your hope for the future of the topic, or you share positive feeling about the topic. That is the best way. And remember, when you reach the time to do your conclusion, usually you don't have much time, so you have to be fast here. Okay. Now, again, Please do not use contraction for part 3, except for story. Yeah, for story, because dialogue, contractions are inevitable. You can't avoid using a contraction or short form for your story writing. So you have your connectors and cursive devices here. Okay, now you have this. I have highlighted this in our slide just now, so I will go through this very fast. But the reason I include this in to show you that cohesive devices are crucial for the good writing of your part 2 and part 3. So we move on to your question analysis of article. So you can have this describing a trip to a historical place in your country. So again, don't forget to do your what we call your question analysis. Do remember that this part here, I see here 200 to 250 words. Okay, and then you have this, your teacher has asked you, so you can use model A. My English teacher has asked me to write an article. So this will be your responses to your introduction. And then you have content 1, content 2, content 3 under paragraph 2, 3 and 4. And express your hope for the future of this particular place that you are visiting. Okay, move on. So this is a detailed explanation about the use of model A, model C. So this is your question. So when I do my question analysis, I will underline where, so that I have to plan what will be the selected place that I'm going to write about, which is a historical place. And I will give a title for the school magazine. So it makes your writing very believable, and you are showing the examiner that you are responding to all the elements in the question. So here, to start off my article, you can use either model A or model C. So you have use questions as P1. Okay, use these questions as your paragraph 1. Your English teacher, my English teacher, has asked you, has asked me to write an article on a trip to a historical place for the school magazine. So please name the school magazine, okay? Like my school is, sorry, I forgot the name of my school magazine. Panduan. So other schools, they have their own school magazine name, so please name one. Okay, janganlah letak URTV pula, okay? Or Gila-Gila, no, you don't have Gila-Gila now. What would be your favorite magazine? Okay, your school magazine, okay? And then here I mentioned last year I went to, because I'm responding to this. And then in the next paragraph, I am ready to explain. So, or I can use model C. Here I am listing Afamosa in Malacca, Georgetown in Penang, Kuching in Sarawak. These are the well-known historical places in Malaysia, and last year I visited Kuching in Sarawak. Okay? Now, these again are discourse markers, similar to the one I have shared in part 1, part 2, part 3, on how to elaborate your C1, C2, C3. So you have all this. You can refer to this. Okay, so this is one presentation of the article. So the title, My Trip to Georgetown. So the article, you have to do it on your own, but it must be relevant and linked to the whole article right up. So here by my name. Now, if you do not want to use your real name, it's okay. You can use other name. For example, you are a great fan of Ben Amir, so you can write by Ben Amir, or by Ben, or by Amir. Or if you're a great fan of, you want to put Korean star names, okay, but yeah, I think it's okay. All right. So anyway, my English teacher has asked me to write an article on a trip to a historical place for the school magazine Panduan. So last year I went to Georgetown in Penang. So you have responded to the question. Check. So this will be your elaboration of P2, P3, P4. This is what I mean when you want to conclude your article. Express your hope. All in all, I really hope to return to Georgetown in the coming future. Now, another tip for you, in Bahasa Indonesia, we have pada masa yang akan datang, pada masa hadapan. So in English, we have in the future. So why not add something extra to the phrase in the future, becoming in the coming future. Okay? All right, next. We move on to report. Now, for report, you really have to analyze the question carefully, because this is where your format will be based on. Okay, now there will be no specific mark for format, but it helps with the organization of your report, achieving that communicative element with your reader as your readers read your report. So your English teacher here, it is referring to the two. Okay, for example, I am English teacher, so to teacher Ezlin Faizura Farid, SMK Keppel. Okay, has asked you. So this is referring to you, the student. So it should be either from Jamalia or prepared by Jamalia. And then, this is your title, Sites to Visit for Exciting Online Shopping Experiences. So this will be your title. So again, understand why question analysis is crucial. And next, we move on to the content. So we have C1, R1 is requirement 1. It's the same as C1, What are the different types of sites that you know? Okay, what are the most popular sites? Why are the sites popular? So you must have these responses for paragraph 2, 3, and 4. And then moving on, we have this. Okay, all right, now I think I'll just go to this one. Okay, this is your format. Again, let me emphasize that there are no specific mark for format like unlike the old format. But again, using this, it helps you to produce an organized essay. So we have organization and also communicative achievement. So here, to means to whom are you writing for? Now, if you look at the whole thing carefully, if you notice the one in the pink box here, we have choice A and choice B. Now, for format, my suggestion for report format is based on the previous format, previous report format. And after looking at other reports presentation, not very tiny differences, okay? All right, so here we look at choice A. So choice A here involve you using to, for example, teacher Ezlin Faizura Farid SMK Kepung, from your name Jamalia bin Muhammad, and then your subject. Okay, your subject here, if I go back to the previous slide, it would be sites to visit for exciting online shopping experiences. Okay, and then paragraph 1 will be introducing the whole idea of the task, and paragraph 2, 3, and 4. So, ladies and gentlemen, paragraph 2 and 3 and 4 is referring to your C1, C2, C3, and this depends on the question. Okay, but take note at the allocation number of words, All right, and then you have your conclusion. Now, and then you have a conclusion roughly 25 words, and you have your prepared by name. Okay, now, if you choose choice B will be to...
Maaf sangat. Tak, ada student tanya soalan.
Okay, alright, okay.
Ma'am, I kind of get confused whenever I want to use has or had before verb ed.
Okay, I want to use has, had before. Okay, alright. So, for the students out there, let me respond to this sebab nanti terlupa nak respond pula. Okay, Nick. Okay, now, for this explanation, cikgu akan combine BM dengan BI. So, maafkan cikgu lah Okay, now, soalannya ialah, penggunaan has, had before. Okay, if I compare with BM, dia lebih kurang kepada telah. Okay, itu pemahaman yang pertama. Telah. Dan kenapa penggunaan has, had ni ada? Sebab dia nak menunjukkan one action that has happened and still happening in the present time, ataupun dalam keadaan keadaan macam 2 tahun lepas, apabila benda tu berlaku, dia masih lagi berlaku pada masa itu. Jadi has, had ni dia membezakan penggunaan dengan past tense. Past tense once dah berlaku dah tak berlaku dah. Has dengan had menunjukkan an action that has happened and still happening. Tapi kenapa berbeza? Okay, number 1, penggunaan has dengan have. Okay, has dengan have menunjukkan keadaan sekarang. Telah berlaku dan masih berlaku pada keadaan sekarang. Okay, yang membezakan has dengan have ialah subjek dia. Contohnya kalau kita kata kita ada Maria, kita ada he, kita ada she, kita guna Maria has, she has, he has. Dan kalau kita ada more than one subject, Maria and Tasha have, we have, they have. Okay, yang tu yang kena faham dulu Okay, so clear ni so far dah faham has dengan have. Pertama, berbeza dari segi penggunaan masa. Has, have untuk sudah berlaku dan masih berlaku sekarang. Dan juga berbeza dari segi penggunaan jumlah subjek. Has untuk seorang, have untuk ramai. Okay, now, had. Had, senang nak ingat, dia adalah the opposite of penggunaan has dengan have. Had kita guna untuk represent keadaan yang sudah berlaku. Okey, 2 tahun lepas. Okey, kita ambil contoh 2 tahun lepas. Okey. Dan kalau kita ada Maria and Tasha 2 tahun lepas, kita juga guna had. Itu yang you kena clear. Okey, jadi had dia represent 2 tahun lepas contohnya, dan dia digunakan sama ada untuk satu subjek atau banyak. Okey, yang tu kita dah clear ya. Now sekarang dengan penggunaan ed ni. Okay, now if you remember in your reference book, even in your download textbook, there are 4 columns under verb tense that you must memorize. The first column is the original word. Contohnya eat. Sebab lunchtime kan, eat. Senang nak ingat contoh eat. And then kita ada eat, dia punya original word, dan kita ada present tense. So present tense ni, dia punya penggunaan ialah eat. Kalau ramai, kalau seorang eats, E-A-T-S. Kalau ramai, E-A-T. Lepas tu kita ada kolom yang ketiga, iaitu untuk past tense. Kita ada ate, A-T-E. Kemudian kolom yang keempat. Kolom keempat tu, dia tajuk dia ialah past participle. Yang tu ialah pasangan untuk penggunaan has dengan had. So Nick, tengok balik download textbook bahagian belakang. Memang ada kat situ. Nick tengok the last column tu, dia tajuk dia past participle. Yang tu ialah dia punya combination dengan penggunaan has dengan had. Okey, dan ianya bertukar-tukar mengikut perkataan. Contohnya kalau eat, dia punya past participle ialah has eaten ataupun have eaten ataupun had eaten. Tetapi kita ada juga penggunaan contohnya written, memulangkan. Has written tambah ed, had written tambah ed, have written tambah ed. That is why for students out there, including me, very important, buka balik download textbook tu, study balik. Tengok yang kolom terakhir tu untuk penggunaan those past participle bersama has dengan had. Masalahnya, has dengan had tak ada konsep ni dalam bahasa Melayu. If I'm not mistaken, not in Mandarin as well. Jadi memang kita sebagai the second language learner, sebab bahasa Inggeris adalah bahasa kedua untuk pelajar Malaysia, dia menjadi sesuatu yang mengelirukan sebab konsep tu tak ada. Jadi kita terpaksa belajar konsep tu dari mula. Okay? Alright, apa lagi cikgu boleh tambah ya? Jadi bila nak guna, bila you dah faham dah penggunaan dan peraturan dia, bila nak guna. So bila you cerita dengan, okay, Jasmine juga ada soalan. I think soalan Jasmine untuk moderator boleh ingatkan saya sebab soalan idiom ni memang saya akan respon lepas habis part 3. Okay?
Boleh. So cikgu sambung dengan cikgu punya.
Jasmine sabar jangan keluar daripada YouTube ni. Okay, back to Nick. Jadi bila nak guna. So misalnya kalau you tak sure dengan time. Contohnya dalam past tense kita kata yesterday I went to school. Jadi you pasti tentang penggunaan time. Time phrase tu sangat jelas. Kita guna has dengan had dalam satu keadaan di mana kita tak pasti dia punya time concept dia, tak sure semalam ke, hari ni ke, 5 minit yang lalu dan sebagainya. So contohnya, I have done my homework. Jadi kita tahu you dah buat homework, tapi bila? Kita tak ada information tu. Penting ke? Mungkin tak. Yang penting faktanya ialah you dah buat homework. Dan fakta itu penting dengan keadaan sekarang. Kalau you tulis I had done my homework, bermaksud you merujuk pada kisah yang lalu, di masa itu you dah selesai dah homework je. Tapi masa kisah lalu tu adakah 2 minutes ago ke 3 minutes ago tu tak penting. Yang tu yang you kena tahu beza dia. So usually how you remember is like that. Penggunaan has had dia tak ada specific time frame berbanding dengan past tense. Okay, alright. So Nick, kalau ada lagi soalan boleh tanya lepas ni. Allow me to continue with our slide. Okay, thank you moderator. Okay, my slide dah nampak Okay, nampak kan slide? Okay, so just to remind you guys, when you do your report, please remember ada choice A dengan choice B. Okay, before we look at the sample of choice A and choice B, let us look at the discourse marker for your report. Okay, so you have your discourse marker for your introduction, rupa macam ni. paragraph 2, paragraph 3 and 4 and your conclusion. Okay, so this is considered your reference, ya. Now, reminder, seperti juga part 2, it has to be in formal language, no short form, and report actually banyak guna passive voice. Contohnya seperti something could be done by the people. Dan remember, your report is all about giving information or to make suggestions or to make recommendations. Okay, seterusnya, okay, question analysis. Okay, this one something that I've done recently with my student. Untuk unit 7 kot tak silap. So, a group of exchange students. So, when you do your question analysis people, you tengok ni, a group exchange student, you buat notation kat tepi tau. This is question analysis. Okay, pelajar dari mana? Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, tulis. Sebab ini akan membantu menjadikan report you mencapai 250 words. But remember, report is between 200 and 250. So, selalu student, they are stuck here. Dia orang tak tahu macam mana nak jadikannya panjang. Dia orang tak sure what details to be provided. So, this is one way. And after that, visiting your school. So you can mention the name of your school, or if you don't want the examiners to know your name, you mention the most famous school in Malaysia, Sekolah Menengah Air Dalam, or my English. Okay. Alright, to write a report. So you nampak je report, you dah kena ingat dah. Okay, kena ingat format dia sebab aku nak dapat organisation mark. Okay, remember formal language. Remember how to write report to get my communicative competence mark. Okay, on what places they could visit outside school. Yang ni penting sebab ini related to your content point. Okay, places bermaksud you are going to recommend more than one place for this student to visit outside school. Maknanya bukan dalam kawasan sekolah, not school premise, going to the school co-op. No. We are going to interesting places outside your school. Okay, so from here, you look at the content. Places available means more than one. So here, it is about you needing to describe the activities in both places. And once you do that, you are ready to write about the cost of both places. Okay, so you notice here for report, dia punya suggested point memang ringkas sebab dia nak you berfikir, what are the important things that you need when you want to present a report. Yang ni high order thinking. So hopefully this way,
Kacau.
Dalam komputer.
Pas tak sebab ala-ala kat sini kan saya bacakan soalan dia.
Okay.
Hello ma'am, does it count as a spelling error if one use American spelling instead of British spelling?
Okay, alright. Okay, yang ni cikgu boleh respon terus. Soalan Jasmine je cikgu akan respon at the end of the whole thing. Okay, Alia. Okay, now, of course, because you have to know that our SEFA paper, okay, MES, Malaysian Examination Syndicate, they work together with Cambridge, with the Cambridge representative. Jadi, it's all about British English. Tetapi, misalnya, kalau you tersilap between analyze dengan analyze, dia macam ni, if possible, misalnya from the beginning of paragraph 1 until the end, if possible, kalau you use British spelling, you use British spelling throughout. Di sini you juga boleh buat revision about the differences between British spelling or American English. Okay, British English or American English. So what if you guna American English? So pastikan ini consistent penggunaan American spelling, American English spelling dari mula sampai habis.
Cikgu, maaf boleh buka slide masa
okay, sorry. Dah hilang dah slide. Tak stop screen. Okay, sekejap. Sorry. Share screen. Okay, alright. Dah hilang pula. Okay.
Cikgu, komen soalan kita akan display.
Okay, boleh ni. Okay. So, jadi what I'm trying to say Alia, you punya penggunaan British spelling dengan American tu kena konsisten. Kalau you dah mula guna American, gunalah. Sampai mula sampai habis. Kalau British, from the beginning until the end. So, what if kalau guna, kita anggap sebagai slip. Asalkan dia taklah kerap sangat digunakan, so kita anggap sebagai slip. Okay, so I hope I've responded to your question, yeah. Okay, so back to this, we have our which place would you recommend and why. So under recommendation, bila you buat analysis ni, you tengok it's about which place would you recommend and why. Okay, alright. Cik Wan ni nampak so far kan my slide, yeah? Slide nampak ya? Okay, alright. So we move on. Okay, so this is what I mean by choice A. Ya. So kita ada 2.x, teacher's name, English teacher SMKX, the school name, and then your full name and 5 the 5. And then here, because with my student, when we did this, I give them what we call some clues on how to complete the title, to complete the paragraph 1, paragraph 2, 3 and 4 dan sebagainya. So you can use this as your guideline. Okay. Ini kalau choice number 2, you ada 2 title dan prepared kat bawah. From tak ada. Jangan combine semua. It's a waste of your time. Okay, now moving on to review. Okay, when it comes to review, there are 3 important parts. Okay, for review, you have to describe the product, you have to discuss, you have to give your opinion, supporting the review, highlight the strength of the product, highlight the weakness of the product kalau ada, and recommend. So when you recommend, you can use words or the common one in Shopee, in Lazada, 5-star rating, like Grab, Foodpanda pun semua guna 5-star rating. Now, please remember, it's the question that will decide the product to be reviewed, not you. So if it says, please, have you eaten in, have you visited a wonderful sports venue? So you have to write a review about sports venue. That's why I've mentioned earlier. If you find that you have lack of knowledge about that, don't take the risk by doing that, because you spend a lot of time planning, thinking of specific vocab for that particular product review. Okay, so these are helpful notes for you. If you get a movie, what are the things that you need to look at? You have storyline, actors, special effects. If you are writing about a book review, author, storyline, ada twist tak? Ada creativity tak? What about the language? And then if you talk about competition, like the recent one, our Thomas Cup. Okay, what about the quality of our players? What were your comments about the players and the competition? Because I think in Thomas Cup, England did not play, right? Because of COVID-19 cases, and what were the results. Okay, next, seperti biasa, kita ada juga suggested number of words untuk perenggannya. But here, I would like to highlight this. Now, when you do your introduction of that review, it's about providing background information about the product. Okay, and then you have the synopsis. If it's a movie, if it's a TV show, if it's what we call a book, then you have to give the synopsis. If it's about a place, perhaps you have to talk about the history of the place. When was the hotel built, and what was the location and others. Okay, and then requirement 1 and 2, it depends on the question. Yang tu yang you penting buat question analysis. And the conclusion is your overall evaluation. Do you recommend 5-star rating, 3.5, and others? Then we look at this. Okay, this one taken from MES. Now, this is an essay, a movie review. So our friend here started the essay with introduction why we watch movie. That is his way. And in the second paragraph, he wrote about background information about the movie. So here he did a review about Avengers Endgame. Then we move on. In the next paragraph, he talked about the synopsis. What is the story about? What is the movie about? And the next paragraph, he gave his reasons for liking the movie. And in the last paragraph, he talked about the recommendation and reasons. Okay, in terms of star rating, and to make it very catchy, to attract the reader, we have the tagline, Avengers Assemble. Okay, you can read this in your own time. So these are some of the vocabulary, phrases, expression helpful for you guys when you want to do movie review. I would suggest that you practice this on your own, okay? If you have the tasks like this given by your teacher, you can refer to this note and use it, okay? You have for the synopsis. So this is what we call the discourse marker lah, penanda wacana, how to start your synopsis. Now, terms related to this product review. Okay, for book, these are the terms. Genre ada untuk book, movie, TV show. And then kita ada cafe, hotel dengan event. Kita ada dia punya star rating, venue, organizer, type. Kalau makanan ada western, ada pastry, local fusion. So memang kena tahu semua ni. Okay, now let us look at one question. So this is a book review. Okay, now here your question analysis is very important sebab you need to know the nature of the book. The genre of the book. So here when you read, environmental book. So your book review, it must have the theme environment. Tak boleh yang lain. Cannot be about romance, cannot be about bibliography of a famous writer. It must be environment. Okay, and if you look down here, you will be ready for your content point to write about, say what you enjoyed. So what is the best part of the environmental book that you like? Okay, when you read this book. Okay, and these are the guidelines. They are the appealing illustration, means they are captivating images of flora, fauna, landscape in the book. And the writer has delivered a powerful environmental message. So you can give example, what message? This is where you can take the idiom that I have mentioned earlier. Apa, to give back to the land semua tu lah. Okay, and would you recommend, this one should be your closing. Recommend, 5-star rating, why, and all that. Okay, what if you have this review, have you eaten out recently? So you went and eat at a new eatery, so you give your comment. So you have, say what makes the place special. So you have to highlight the special criteria of that particular restaurant, and of course, would you recommend, and give your reason. Film review, it's the same with book review, where the question, the organizer of the question yang akan tetapkan the genre. So if I want to write a review about action-packed film, so I will do this. So if I prefer science fiction, then probably I have to think twice whether I want to take review as my question for part 3. Okay? Then we move on. Okay, so these are the discourse markers that you can use when you want to give the reasons why you suggest the product, the product that you are reviewing. So these are the phrases. You can have a look at this. Then you have this as well. And sometimes you need to compare and contrast. In a review, sometimes you can compare product A with product B. Okay, for example, you want to compare handphone X with handphone Y. That is where you can use your pros and cons, advantages, disadvantages. Okay, and then when you use adjective, be ready to highlight positive adjective. Positive adjectives means you are recommending the product. Negative adjectives actually referring to you not recommending the product. So you have all this. Then you have story. Okay, so we are almost reaching the last part of your essay, and I will remember to respond to Jasmine's question about idioms. Yeah. Okay, so when it comes to story, again, you have the number of words for your reference. For your story, just remember 3 things. You have your beginning, you have your middle, and you have your ending. Okay. Now, this is actually based on your textbook Form 3, page 52, close up. So beginning is where you set the setting and the background. Any movie that you watch, any book that you read, they will have a beginning. Okay, I give you example. I think Harry Potter. Harry Potter. Okay, I give a movie lah. Contohnya Twilight. So Twilight started with the introduction of the Cullen clan. The part where there's a vampire actually went after the deer. Itu introduction dia. And then suddenly they highlight the main character, Bella Swan. And then you have the middle part, and then you have the ending. Now, ending here, actually, it's up to you whether you want to provide a mysterious hanging ending or you want to have a closing to the story. But for me, honestly, when I mark story, I prefer a close ending, 100% ending dia. Because when you have a hanging ending, I'll be thinking, you ni nak ambil SPM lagi ke? That's my feeling lah. So you can ask your teacher, ask him or her his feeling when you want to write a story, whether they prefer a hanging ending or a 100% close ending. Okay, next. Now this one taken from MES. Your teacher has asked you to write a story for a school magazine. So your story must have the title. So it's very important for you to read the instruction and do the question analysis so that you don't miss out anything. Here it says here must. Must means wajib have the title A Dream Comes True. So these are the 2 elements that you must have. C1, you must have the description of the dream. So I will put this under beginning and rising. And you must have the conclusion, how the dream is achieved. So you punya ending memang kena 100% tutup lah cerita dia. So you have climax, falling, resolution to achieve this. And then write your story. Okay, so this is a sample essay taken from MES. So this is how the writer set the background information, how he described the setting. a dream come true. I live a normal life with my family. So sini ada error dia ya. But here we are focusing on the style, the writing. So here the writer, the student wrote about the parents. Saying that if you want something, you have to make the money by yourself. Because of that, I work hard. So here we get the impression that they are not that rich, but they are not that poor. Meaning the money is just good enough for living. But if you want something extra, you have to work on it for it. Okay. But this year they didn't allow me. So here we have the impression that our friend here probably was a part-time worker. Probably during free time, during the weekend, he worked at 7-Eleven or he worked at mynews.com to earn pocket money to buy certain things that he wanted. Okay, so I find a way to get money. So this is our impression. So there are two ways actually for you who like to write story to come up with your paragraph 1 to provide background information. The first way is you use action or dialogue. Really, your favorite song is on now. Mom said mom to me. So the song is from Westlife lah. I have a dream, a song to sing to help me cope with anything. If you see the wonder of a fairy tale, you can take the future even if you fail. So they comment lah, Westlife's song reminded me of my dream that came true recently. This is one way to introduce your story. You put in a song that is related to the story and give your 2 cents, your opinion on that. So what if you use question? Question is another simple method. Do I have a dream? Can I achieve my dream? Dua soalan cukup, jangan buat soalan banyak. These questions were in my mind when I look at pictures of Big Man and London Bridge. My dream back then was I wanted to visit London. So in these two variation, you introduce your idea. You introduce the topic about dream. Okay, now for you guys who want to practice, tapi you feel like, oh dear, to write the story itself from paragraph 1 to 5 is such a taxing job. Banyak sangat benda, you have to study your AdMax, you have to study your science, you have to study pendidikan Islam and others. You can try this. We call it the storyboard approach. So you have your A3 paper or even your drawing block, beli tu, and then you buat dalam 5 column ke or 3 column like this. You take your question from your reference book or from your textbook and you buat macam ni. In short sentences or point form, you prepare the setting. Now, for me, honestly, when it comes to character, 2 characters enough. 1 main character, 1 supporting character. Yang lain semua tak payah banyak-banyak. Okay, nanti macam cerita Korea, first lead, second lead, nanti you pening. Nanti masa dah habis, you yang stress nanti. And then you can also have the exposition. So exposition means the first part of the story and what is the conflict. Okay, and then you have the climax and then the falling action, maknanya what happened after the climax and then the ending. Okay, you can do this as a practice. Tak payah tulis banyak-banyak, sikit-sikit pun cukup. Okay, roughly 1 hour is enough. And then you can get your teacher to help you to check the story. So when my student did this, nampaklah ada tertinggal the cooking ingredients. But I say it's not clear what ingredient. Okay, contohnya. And then you have this. Ni yang paling, for me, is the shortest way for your revision for writing story. Write the title here, what it's about, So you have 1 or 2 sentences for each mind map here. Okay, so you have no excuse not doing your revision for your writing paper 2. Okay, and then again, reminder about important grammar items. You have your past tense verb, you have your adjectives. So you have to do your preparation based on this item. And then how to make the story interesting. You can have this you can refer to your Form 4 textbook, ada semua ni. Okay, and then kita ada certain useful expression to enhance the story. Okay, have all this. Okay, now we are almost towards the end of the ni. So let me mention about this one. Jasmine, you mentioned about idioms. Okay, now if you look at the marking scale, dia tak ada sebut idiom must be used. 2 idioms are compulsory, tak ada. Tapi let me give you my 2 cents on this, yeah. When you study a language, you will understand that a language will have its own identity. And that identity comes in forms of many things, especially idioms, proverbs. Okay, because the idioms are proverbs are based on the location where the language originated. Cikgu kasih contoh ya. Bahasa Melayu kita kata katak di bawah tempurung. And many students understand katak di bawah tempurung means berfikiran cetek. So I know some students, when they want to use that concept for English writing, they would write frog under the coconut shell. Tapi actually kita tak ada konsep tu ya dalam bahasa Inggeris, kita ada frog in the well. Mungkin sebab kat dulu dekat dunia western tak ada pohon kelapa, kita tak tahu. Tapi kita ada English idiom that is similar to that. So for me, if you are able to use idioms, it shows your knowledge of the language and your effort made, your initiative taken to present that element, that cultural element. So your question, berapa banyak idiom nak guna? Honestly, for me, okay, for part 3, maximum 2 idioms, minimum 1. In other words, 1 to 2 idiom enough. Sebab your number of word and the time given does not allow you to use many. If you use too many idioms, teachers, examiners akan rasa you are showing off and you are not able to select the most relevant idiom for the important part of your essay. Okay, so that is my response to you, yeah? Okay, now this is one website that can help you for those students who want to write story. You go to this website, https://writershelpingwriters.net, where here it is actually a thesaurus providing description of emotion, relief, rasa lega. Okay, macam cikgu lah, body slumping, lega, session dah nak selesai. Describing your anger, sadness, happiness. So you go to this dan dia akan kasih contoh-contohnya. Okay, now another one that I would like to recommend is this. I'm very sure teachers already say, please read to improve your English. So I know some of you probably you have bought certain model essay SPM Safer already available in bookstores here that you can do as your reading. But sometimes probably you feel that it's cheaper, it's free actually to get the reading online, so you can go to this IELTS. Okay, sebab IELTS dengan Safer dia ada link. Okay, ada kaitan dari segi quality of the essay and also the topic. So I would suggest you go to this website www.ielts/practice.org where you can read essay sample based on diorang punya band 7, band 8 tu ialah band yang terbaik. Baca, identify the technical words related to the topic. So here is about computer based game. So here you have words like some web based game, children's concentration, okay, follow various command, cooperate their core work. So all these terms, okay, that will be very helpful for your writing. Okay, next, for those students out there who love to memorize English songs, keep it up. It's not wrong. Okay, I grew up as a English user who love to memorize songs. So sekarang dah up level nak memorize Korean soundtrack lah. So if you know the song At My Worst Pink Sweat, sangat popular ya, this song dalam Instagram. So you have the chorus here that you can use for any story about getting support from friends or family. If you have a story about moving on from a failure in friendship, relationship, broken family, you have Kelly Clarkson behind his hazel eyes. You can take part of this, okay, and come up with a story as your practice, or you can take some of this, become part of your content in your story. Okay, other than that, if you have theme about facing failures, challenges, you are a victim of bullying victim, you have the song from the group Headstrong titled Trapped, okay? You read the lyric, you can feel that, it is about facing failures, okay? Peer pressure is another common topic in writing, okay? It can be in part 2, in part 3. So if it's in part 3, in writing, in story writing, you can study this lyric, okay? And you will find that it is about you feeling under pressure because you are not in the same clique as those, okay? All right. Okay, so to sum up my session, I would like to remind you one thing. In life, we have fear and we can't run away from fear. For me, Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala, our God, create fear so that you become very humble. So here, I'm sure we have two choices. Either we forget everything and run, or we face everything and rise. So for you to be in this session, you have done choice number 2. And just like COVID-19, which will be endemic one day, you have to live with COVID-19. You have to live with your fear. So I hope my session has provided tips on how to do writing through fear. Okay? All right. And last but not least, to give my support to all Malaysian English language teachers. Okay, dalam bahasa Melayu, kami dah berbuih dan mulut sebudak buat pembetulan. And let me remind you, Facebook has said that good writing is rewriting. So please remember, students out there, in order to achieve the A+, in order to pass your English writing paper, it's all about rewriting. So after this session, do your Zohor prayer, go for your lunch and think again. Think again. Have I done my correction for my last essay with my teacher? Okay, with this, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I end my session and I pass the session back to our moderator.
Okey, cikgu, terima kasih banyak-banyak. Okey, cikgu ada 2 soalan.
Okey, kejap ya.
Okey. Boleh
Nak
cikgu
tutup
tutup
skrin ni ke nak biar ya?
Cikgu boleh tutup. Nak tutup pun boleh.
Okey, tutup. Okey, kejap ya.
First soalan daripada Jasmine lagi. Dia cakap, is it necessary to write jumlah perkataan after we've done writing for each essay?
Okay, alright. For me actually tak perlu. Memang kami tak wajib. Kami tak wajibkan. Macam previous format memang kadang-kadang kami galakkan. We actually encourage students to write. I think for this one, if you have the time to write, you write. But it's not compulsory. Kita orang tak ada checklist. Okay, calon tak tulis maka kita buat. No, we don't do that. Okay. But always remember that it's your job as candidate to take note of the writing, the number of words so that you tak go overboard. End up you couldn't finish one of the parts. Sebab kali ni your writing time is just 90 minutes ya. Your senior Promax 2020 writing time 1 hour 45 minutes. You don't have that extra 50 minutes. And I think I'm sharing the same perspective as other Malaysian English teachers. We are worried about our students' time management when it comes to writing paper. Okay.
So better for them to focus on the writing, on their content.
Yes. Yeah. Number of word tu kau tak sempat kira tak apa. Kita tak ada masalah. Okay, next.
Okay, next question is, ma'am, can we also make a plot twist on the story, right? I usually write a story based on real life and my English teacher doesn't prefer us to make a negative story. Why is that?
Okay, now, okay, actually ada 2 isu kat sini ya. Plot twist can be, plot twist is actually one element that makes your story interesting. Okay, so plot twist can lead to a surprise ending which is positive, surprise ending that is negative. Okay, kenapa your English teacher tak suka you buat cerita negatif? Okay, it's like this. Okay, now number 1, a good story will have good moral values, and that is also one of the things that Lembaga Perisama Malaysia, Kementerian Pendidikan want to see in our students' writing. Are you able to share, are you able to highlight moral values that you have been studied through your subject since year 1 until form 5? Maknanya through pendidikan moral, through pengetahuan Islam, civic, kajian tempatan semualah masa you sekolah rendah. And then also, Nick, you must remember this is SPM formal assessment. Okay, so for me, honestly, I support your teacher. We go for positive ending because when you have a negative ending, are you able to highlight the moral values that you need to highlight? That is a question that you have to ask yourself. If you say, yes, teacher, I can highlight. Okay, let us talk about the borderline. Okay, to what extent your story should be negative. Now, if you write story that involve like, okay, I give you lah contoh from Netflix lah, My Name kan. You show the main character bunuh, berjaya semua. Okay, yeah, at one point it shows that when you fight for your right, you will get it at the end. But it involves so much bloodshed. I have a question. Do you have enough time to put all the description of those gory, grotesque, bloodshed description to reach your negative ending? And do you have time? Do you have the number of words for that? Okay. And again, this is a formal assessment. We would love to see the positive side of you. Okay, and Nick, our life is full of negative element. So make your teachers happy by providing them the positive ending. Okay, kesian pemeriksa, mak banyak-banyak dapatlah negative ending, stress diorang. Okay, Nick. So what I'm trying to say is, because of time, because of the limitation in the number of words and the need to highlight moral values, I would recommend positive ending. You can have negative to at the beginning, like abusive parents and all, but at the end you can highlight about how to overcome that negative element. You can still have negative element, but the ending should, okay, I'm using the word should, highlight the positive element. Okay, Nick.
Okay, cikgu, terima kasih jawab soalan-soalan.
Okay.
Tadi kita ada buat poll, adakah adik-adik rasa suka untuk skor subjek Bahasa Inggeris? 51% cakap ya dan 48% kata tidak.
Okay. So kita yelah Cik Wani, kita haraplah hopefully this session dapat mengurangkan that 51% kepada separuh. So lagi separuh for me it comes from your communication with your English teacher, your effort. I always tell my student for any subject it's all about 90-10. 90 comes from you, 10 comes from you with him up there, Kulan Razan Zuhuni, with him up there, and your communication with your teacher, because parents' blessing, teacher's blessing, and your communication with him, okay, all are in that 10%, tapi percaya atau tidak, that 10% actually dominate that 90%. Okay, alright.
Jangan lupa adik-adik kalau rasa nak tengok balik recording ni akan sentiasa ada kat YouTube My UNIRAZAK. Kalau rasa nak ulang kaji. Kat sini memang shoot ulang kaji. Kita juga ada 2 lagi sesi bahasa Inggeris untuk subjek ni dalam masa akan datang.
Ya, betul.
Okey, so jadi terima kasih Cikgu Ezlin atas ilmu dan tips hebat yang dikongsikan sebentar tadi. Kami percaya program hari ini membantu dan memberi manfaat kepada para pelajar. Terima kasih saya ucapkan kepada pelajar yang bersama kami pada hari ini dalam program yang diajukan oleh pihak UNIRAZAK. Kami berharap agar para pelajar terus setia untuk menyertai program ini. Kita akan bersua lagi pada minggu hadapan di URGearUp SPM Pre-E-Tuition untuk mata pelajaran prinsip perakaunan pada hari Sabtu 30 Oktober 11 pagi. Kepada para pelajar yang ingin mendapatkan CJ penyertaan untuk sesi hari ini, anda boleh WhatsApp di nombor 0327891583 atau klik pada link yang telah disediakan di paparan anda. Terima kasih sekali lagi. Jangan lupa basuh tangan dan jaga penjarakan sosial anda, termasuk ketika berada di sekolah ya. Kami di pihak UNIRAZAK mendoakan kejayaan dan kesihatan yang baik pada semua pelajar yang bakal menghadapi peperiksaan SPM 2021. Jaga diri dan kita jaga kita. Terima kasih. Jumpa lagi.
Okay, bye.